Barefoot running. Barefoot running, also called natural running, is the act of running without footwear. With the advent of modern footwear, running barefoot has become less common in most parts of the world, but is still practiced in parts of Africa and Latin America. In some Western countries, barefoot running has grown in popularity in the 2000s due to perceived health benefits. Scientific research into the practice of running barefoot has not reached a clear consensus regarding its risks or its benefits. While footwear might provide protection from cuts, bruises, impact, and weather, proponents argue that running barefoot reduces the risk of chronic injuries, notably repetitive stress injuries caused by heel striking in padded running shoes. The barefoot movement has prompted some manufacturers to introduce thin-soled and flexible shoes such as traditional moccasins and huaraches for minimalist running. History. Throughout most of human history, running was performed while barefoot or in thin-soled shoes such as moccasins. This practice continues today in Kenya and among the Tarahumara people of northern Mexico. Historians believe that the runners of ancient Greece ran barefoot. According to legend, Pheidippides, the first marathoner, ran from Athens to Sparta in less than 36 hours. After the Battle of Marathon, it is said he ran straight from the battlefield to Athens to inform the Athenians of the Greek victory over Persia. Dr. Charles Robbins, who won 11 U.S. national championships, including the Yonkers Marathon in 1944, finished the Boston Marathon 20 times, with a third place in 1944, and was an alternate to the marathon team at the 1948 London Olympics, often ran races barefoot. In 1960, Abebe Bikila of Ethiopia won the Olympic marathon in Rome barefoot, setting a new world record after discovering that Adidas, the Olympic shoe supplier, had run out of shoes in his size. He was in pain because he had received shoes that were too small, so he decided to simply run barefoot. Bikila had trained running barefoot prior to the Olympics. He would go on to defend his Olympic title 4 years later in Tokyo while wearing shoes and setting a new world record. British runner Bruce Tulloh competed in many races during the 1960s while barefoot and won the gold medal in the 1962 European Games 5,000-meter race. In the 1970s, Shivnath Singh, one of India's greatest long-distance runners, was known for always running barefoot with only tape on his feet. During the 1980s, a South African runner, Solobad, became known for her barefoot running style as well as training and racing barefoot. She won the 1985 and 1986 IOF World Cross Country Championships and competed in the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Kenyan runner Tegla Lorup began running barefoot 10 km 6.2 mi and from school every day at the age of 7. She performed well in contests at school and in 1988 won a prestigious cross-country barefoot race. She went on to compete, both barefoot and shod, in several international competitions, marathons, and half marathons. She won the Goodwill Games over 10,000 meters, barefoot, and was the first African woman to win the New York City Marathon in 1994, winning again in 1998. In the early 21st century, barefoot running has gained a small yet significant following on the fringe of the larger running community. Organizers of the 2010 New York City Marathon saw an increase in the number of barefoot runners participating in the event. The practice saw a surge in popularity after the 2009 publication of Christopher McDougall's book, Born to Run, promoting the practice. In the United States, the Barefoot Runners Society was founded in November 2009 as a national club for unshod runners. By November 2010, the organization claimed 1,345 members, nearly double the 680 members it had when it was founded. Prominent barefoot runners include Ken Bob Saxton, known as the godfather of barefoot running, and Todd Byers, a barefoot marathon runner from Seattle who has run over 100 marathons barefoot. On 8 December 2006, Nico Schurings of Antwerp, Belgium, became the fastest person to run 100 meters 330 feet on ice while barefoot. completing the task in 17.35 seconds. And on 12 December 2010, the Barefoot Runners of India Foundation BRIF organized a 21 km 13 mi barefoot half marathon at Kargar near the Indian city of Mumbai. The run had 306 participants. On 1 April 2012, runner Ray Heim embarked on a 3,000-plus-mile barefoot run from Boston, Massachusetts, finishing on 14 November in Manhattan Beach, California. She raised money for a Tennessee-based organization, Souls for Souls, who delivered one pair of shoes to needy children for each dollar raised by Heim. And on 23 June 2012, he logged 166.444 km 103.424 mi, or 416 laps on the Blacktown International Sports Park track, barefoot. Later, this record was surpassed by several runners, most recently Andrew Snope of Los Angeles, CA, who ran 232.72 km 146.6 miles on 8 December 2018 at the Desert Solstice Track Invitational 24-hour race in Phoenix, Arizona. On 13 August 2017, barefoot runner Tej O'Connor broke 100 km record as part of a fundraiser for the environmental education center he operates, Crow's Path. He ran 100 km barefoot on UVM track in 7 hours 13 minutes and 25 seconds. In December 2017, O'Connor ran 100 miles in 14 hours 22 minutes. Health and medical implications. Minimal footwear. The alternative to going barefoot is to wear thin shoes with minimal padding. This is what runners wore for thousands of years before the 1980s, when the modern running shoe was invented. Shoes, such as moccasins or thin sandals, permit a similar gait as barefoot, but protect the feet from cuts, abrasion, and soft, sticky matter. The Tarahumara wear thin-soled sandals known as huaraches. These sandals have a single long lace with a thin sole made from either recycled tires, commercially available replacement outsole rubber, or leather. The practice of wearing light or no shoes while running may be termed minimalist running. Plimsolls were worn by children in the United Kingdom for physical education classes as well as by soldiers for PT. Inexpensive dime store plimsolls have very thin footbeds, 3 elastomer/rubber outsole, 1 card, 2 EVA foam, and no heel lift or stiffening. Some modern shoe manufacturers have recently designed footwear to mimic the barefoot running experience, maintaining optimum flexibility and natural walking while also providing some degree of protection. The purpose of these minimalist shoes is to allow one's feet and legs to feel more subtly the ground, allowing more accurate adjustments in running style. Most minimalist running shoes are based within a scale from 110, where 1 is barefoot and 10 is a typical athletic shoe sole. The Vibram 5 Fingers has separate slots for each toe and no cushioning. Traditional racing flats are fairly minimal, offering good ground feel and control. Conversely, the Nike Free line of footwear, designed as a 5, features a segmented sole, which provides greater flexibility while still having an amount of cushioning. Saucony introduced the Kinvara line of shoes, which feature a dropped sole, which halves the thickness of the sole and removes much of the heel cushioning, to encourage more of a midfoot strike for the foot. Though not the only company to produce socks incorporating Kevlar in the yarn, the Swiss Barefoot Company's protection socks are marketed for barefoot use. Following the trend, by 2011 minimalist running shoes have been made available by most of the major shoe manufacturers. The United States Army has banned the use of toe shoes for image reasons. However, many other barefoot-inspired shoes that do not feature individual toes can still be used in its place. The United States Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and United States Coast Guard, however, have approved minimalist shoes, including toe shoes, to be used during physical training. Sales of minimalist running shoes have grown into a $1.07 billion industry. Sales of minimalist running shoes grew from $450,000 in 2006 to $59 million in 2012 and grew 303% from November 2010 through November 2012, compared to a 19% increase in the overall sales of running shoes during the same time period. In the summer of 2012, both Vibram and Adidas were sued in the United States regarding allegations of deceptive claims of increased training efficiency, foot strength, and decreased risk of injury resulting from use of their minimalist running shoes. These lawsuits follow on the heels of recent settlements by Skechers and Reebok with the Federal Trade Commission over claims that their barefoot shoes strengthen the body in ways no shoes ever had before.